Shalom, shalom, ladies.
Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, to the right, you have my beautiful wife, Rofenuya, from the Lion tribe of Yehuda. Then to the left, you have my beautiful wife, Atara, from the tribe of Lewi. Shalom. All right, this is part 2 to our polygyny discussion. A lot of people have tons of questions. I mean, they always hit me up asking me so many questions. They want to know about polygyny, how it works, what do y'all do. So we got tons of questions. Let's get some of these questions out the way. Some of them may be harsh. Some people love polygyny. Some people can't stand polygyny. Some people love polygyny so much that they're watching this video to join and get down with the home team, baby. Woo, woo! All right. The first question that we have is from Ty of the Hebrew War Machine. And she wanted to know, did any of you have children before entering into your polygyny relationship? And how hard was it to get the children to adjust?
I'll take that question, Ty. That's a very good question. I came in this relationship with 4 children. And I'd say that was one of the biggest hurdles that I had to overcome. And most people may think that it's jealousy, but no, because me and Rofina, we definitely clicked way before, I came into this relationship, so it wasn't even that. But it was difficult because the children don't understand the concept of polygamy. But it was easy also because most of our children share birthdays, they share age, and, kids tend to, click with children their same age. So it wasn't that hard, but it was a little bit more difficult than I thought. So that's just it. I mean, we still go through our little ups and downs here and there, but it's nothing that we can't overcome.
We shall overcome. All right. Yes, y'all have good questions, ladies and gentlemen. I have another question from my brother Yehuzadek, El Ben Yehuda. His question is, does the first woman need to be in agreement with taking a second wife?
I guess I'll take that one.
Who said you was the first
one? Well, I'm the senior wife, so I was with him for the longest.
How many years were you with me?
We've been together 18 years.
Dang!
That's a long time.
I don't think, if you want to say biblically, that it's necessary that the first wife agrees to it. But I do say, if you want a happy home and you want peace, you definitely want to make sure that your wife is in agreement. It's best to actually let her be part of the process. That way it can be harmonious and everybody gets the best of the polygyny. Excuse me.
All right, no, that's an interesting answer. So what would you say to the men that have a wife and their wife is just so against polygyny, but they really, really want polygyny?
I would tell him that maybe she needs to speak with someone who is in a polygyny relationship, and maybe she can understand that it's the values of it and the importance and even the blessing that it can be. And once maybe if she's around it and she sees the blessing that it can be, maybe she can open up to it.
Well, I want to play devil advocate.
Okay.
Suppose you come into you have your wife and you've been married for some years and you've never brought the concept of polygyny to your wife, but then you see other couples, other polygynous positive couples that that are going right, and you just want to come up and say, well, you know what, the Bible said I can do this, the Bible said I can do that, and you want to just up and say I want to bring a wife in and you better conform. How does that work? Because you've never introduced her or even asked her if she's interested or if she's interested in polygyny. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
How do you work around that? Do you just say, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway because I can, or do you respect your wife's wishes?
Are you asking me?
I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
That's something that a lot of men should consider, because you can't just come up and say, well, you know what, it's in the book, we could do this. And then what if your wife of 15, 20 years don't want it?
Would you sacrifice losing her in order to gain another one, which you'll be back at one?
No, that's what I'm saying. That man has to really consider that.
Well, you know, a lot of this discussion is going to come up this Sunday. This Sunday at 1386 Ralph David Abernathy, Atlanta, Georgia, inside the West End at Shomer HaTorah. We actually have a beautiful polygyny discussion with Rob Love of Guerrilla Republic, myself, the beautiful and handsome Nasi Yashuvel. We also got the famous author Patricia Dixon, and the name of the book is
What We Want for Us. Sisters, we want for ourselves. What we want for ourselves, we want for our sisters.
Yeah, Cam. Let me get that book right here. Okay. Get a shout out right there. There we go. My sister, she wrote that book. I can't wait to meet her.
We want for our sisters what we want for ourselves.
It's an awesome book. It's packed with information. She actually did a research and she was involved and went into different communities and took notes.
I have a question that came in.
All right. Did you read it before? All right, come on.
Okay. This question is from area code 602-703, yada, yada, yada. Being without a congregation or fellowship, how do you find a suitable woman or ways to find a helpmeet for the family? Good question.
Good question. Ask that question again.
Yes.
Being without a congregation or fellowship, how do you find a suitable woman or ways to find a helpmeet for the family? You put out an ad.
That's a good question. I think one way is not so much put an ad out, but getting to know people. We're in a time where social media is prevalent. You have to find like minds. So with you finding like minds and like people, you will find people who are under the same understanding. And it's really important to take your time and get to know a person. I know that a lot of people do Power Talk, or they're on YouTube, or they're on Facebook, or whatever social media they have, and fellowshipping with their people. That's one outlet in getting to know.
Yeah, but social media is dangerous. People aren't who they say they are. So, I mean, the thing about it, I would ask, why aren't you part of a congregation? Because the book says, gather yourself, O nation undesired. And maybe there's not people in your area. But I think we should start thinking about actually moving and migrating to places where there are people that want to build communities, you know? Like such as Shomer HaTorah, you know, and build a nation and the community. Yeah, that's important. Definitely. I mean, we'll keep you posted, brother or sister. You know, if we can help, just let us know. All right. I have another question. All right. And this question is from Yehuzadek, right? And he made this statement. He said, is there a financial qualification to having multiple wives today? For instance, in Torah, the men had to have enough to take care of all the women without diminishing the goods of the first. Today, women can work too and bring money in. Y'all want to answer that?
I would say it is a necessity for some type of income to be in a home. Also, you don't want to leave the power into the woman's hands. You don't want to leave all the power into the woman's hands. If you have a man in a polygynous relationship, I think, if he's not working, he's not bringing in any bread, he's not doing anything productive in the house, he's not going to be the man in that house. If the woman is solely bringing in all the money, taking care of the house, paying all the bills, she's going to have to say so. She's going to let him know, well, listen, this is going to be me. And it's right. It's rightly so. Mm-hmm. Because he's not doing anything. But if she's the only one bringing in money, you're not going to bring another woman to me talking about this your sister wife and you're not helping out. No way. The man should you know, step up and be a man.
Hello, yeah.
I was just gonna say, even if you read Proverbs 31, the woman did have, she did work. So it's not that just that in biblical times that the men solely did things. Women did things to help out their household, whether it was work in the field, make goods, acquire land. They did do that. I think that it's a collaboration. It was a collaboration then, and it will be a collaboration now.
Okay, and I completely agree. Like we get the misunderstanding that women didn't work back in the days, but if you read Proverbs 31, yeah, she completely worked and brought in income. Yeah, no, so I stepped away for a second. No, don't get the domestic. All right, we have a caller.
Put it on speaker.
Yes. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Shalom.
Hello.
Shalom.
Hi, Queen.
Who?
Hey, Queen.
That's Higgy.
That's Igdalia.
Shalom, Higdalia.
Shalom, Iggy.
And actually, it's Ty as well. We just wanted to go over some.
All right, and it's Ty.
Hello.
Shalom, Ty.
Shalom.
Ty, we read one of your questions. You got another question?
Yes.
All right, what's your other
Wait,
question? Speak up.
Okay, when you guys were presented with the whole idea to be in a polygynous relationship, did the feeling come natural or did it take a while to think over?
All right, good question. Hold on one second. I'm gonna put it closer to the camera so we can hear that. And you asked it beautifully. I'd like to hear that again. Hold on one second. I'm getting a little tangled up here. Technical difficulties.
What is going on?
Alright. Alright, now, Ty, ask that question again and loud, please.
Okay. I said when you were presented with the idea to be in a polygynous relationship, did it come natural or did it take some consideration?
I ask that question.
I'll answer that question. For me, actually, well, both of us were raised in a polygynous relation. I mean, our parents were in polygynous relationships, so we were familiar with it. But for me, originally, I didn't want it for myself. So it did take getting used to and adjusting myself. But once I learned the person who was coming into the relationship, it made it a whole lot easier to adjust to the situation.
Okay. A couple of broken ribs, you know what I'm saying?
Whatever.
All right, that's all right. Tara, you want to answer?
I agree with what Rafael says. You gotta have like minds. You can't have somebody that's coming in and think they're just gonna take over the world like Pinky and the Brain. It's just not gonna work. You have to work together. Other than that, it's just not gonna work.
Okay. And if I could share something, initially I was slower than a lot of males, but I ended up, when I moved to Georgia, I kind of hit a downward spiral in my younger years, and I was kind of like a dog in the beginning, you know. And I would try to bring people into a relationship, and not even trying to check their credentials or see if they're qualified. I was just so excited about having polygyny that a lot of times it didn't necessarily work out. So this was actually a match made in heaven by the Creator, because He put together two people that love and care for each other. And then I had to change my ways and to seek the Lord and do more spiritual transformations in my life. You looking like you want me to pause this camera, bro? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And
I was thinking.
I know, it looked like you was just looking at me all sexy and stuff. Like, I can't do that in front of the camera. All right. Hey, Dahlia, you had a question?
I have a question.
All right, you need to speak up, Higdalia.
Okay, because a lot of the times, like especially when the first video came out, there was one sister in particular that was saying a lot of nasty things, like, oh, it's lustful, he's being greedy, and so on.
how do you prepare your children to deal with that sort of like rumors or back talk, or
Good question.
like saying those sort of things?
Good question on Barbara Walters' face. Oh, you taking this too serious, man? Like, oh, yeah.
That's a good question. It was easy because we talked to our children. We communicated with our children. They understood the situation. They understood that people can be vicious, and that can happen in any type of relationship. Even if it's a monogamous relationship, people can always try to hurt that couple for whatever spiteful reasons. But I think that if you communicate with your children and really allow them to see the beauty of the relationship, and not if they see it in a negative light, then they'll agree with what's being said. But if they see the beauty in it and they see the love that's given to them and to each other, then they're more likely to understand that people are just basically doing that, hating.
True. And not only that, it's also it's also in the hands of the parents that's involved in that relationship. We have to diligently teach our children every day, because if they don't understand that concept, they're just gonna see it as a negative thing.
Okay. And don't ever think that we didn't understand that by us putting the video out that we were going to get a lot of negative backlash. We understand how people are hurtful, and we understand how people are drawn to negativity, and how when their life is spiraling out of control, they try to grab others down with them. So we kind of already understood that we're built for this, We take the good, the bad, whatever is thrown our way, and we just pray to the Creator and just try to continue to be a light in what we're doing. All right. Any other questions?
I have one more.
All right, Ty.
Do you guys think this was the absolute best decision you all made?
Yes.
Yes. Well, I definitely think.
Of course.
Shoot, I think this is the best decision I ever made in my life.
Of course you would.
I think that y'all are an absolutely wonderful example of polygyny.
Aw.
And the way y'all sit down, I don't know if y'all talked about how y'all sit down and talk everything out and stuff when y'all do have an issue. But it's just good the way y'all all care about each other instead of it,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes I'm on the other side. They team up against me. So sometimes I be in, I be in the doghouse. You know what I'm saying?
Right? Nobody takes the person's not me.
Yeah. They got a job, fat. All right. Well, may the Most High be with you, and we should have this video up tonight. Most High willing.
Alrighty.
All right. Shalom.
Bye, shalom. Thanks for calling.
All right. Beautiful questions. Beautiful questions. Did y'all get any more questions in?
I did.
All right. What is that question?
Okay. How does one deal with the concept of concubines? My husband seems to prefer the idea of having a concubine, which is a little hard for me to wrap my mind around, although I am open to having another wife in the family.
All right. I think there's a big misunderstanding when we're dealing with the word concubine, because a lot of the definitions we have is a lesser wife. You don't tell somebody there's a lesser wife. That's the obvious thing first and foremost. So concubine had to be something that we definitely don't understand. Well, what a concubine is your wife's servant that the man decides to marry, and the reason why she's considered a lesser wife is because she never can be on the same level as her master and who she works for. So this is why this concubine rule is in play. Concubine do not mean you have a side chick, somebody you sliding off in and you come check out every week. Israelites kill me with that, and I'm telling you, I hate to say it, but if a person is speaking that concubine language, then that is a gateway and an excuse for promiscuity, and we have to be very careful of that. So maybe if we explain the concept and he understands the concept, or maybe he does understand the concept, so maybe we can share that message and relay it to one another, because definitely a concubine is not a side woman, and if he has a woman that's behind him and supporting him so much that she is willing to get or be in a polygynous relationship, and he turns that down, then possibly maybe the women that he's dealing with don't even know about you in the first place. Yeah. And yeah, so that was just something to share. Not to tear up no house or nothing, but we here to build, and I can only give an honest opinion or an honest assessment. Any more questions?
Yeah. This person wants to remain anonymous.
All right, we got an anonymous person here. Go ahead.
But the question is.
Do you know who it is?
I don't know this.
All right.
How do you deal with your husband bringing a second woman in the house, which he's already slept with, without him telling you or beforehand? Why does your husband expect you to accept it after you've already slept with the woman?
All right. I'll comment on that. I'll say this: the brother made a big mistake. You don't make a mess and then try to clean it up later. If you're man enough, then you speak and present the information to your wife. If you're not man enough to discuss what you think or what you like, then you don't have the testosterone that's needed to really take on the polygamous relationship. Hold on 1 second. Shalom, shalom.
I can agree with that.
Shalom, okay?
That's crossing lines.
All right,
that's
all right.
Very.
All right, so hold on 1 second. You got a question?
Right, because.
Not only that, that's going to cause the two women to go against each other.
You got to
Yes,
ask the
you
line
have
to
to,
ask questions. We recording.
It should be something that they're building together, and
I'm put it up
when
tomorrow.
once it's already, you've done what you did, and now you want to make it right by saying, "Oh, we're gonna just all be together." That's a mess waiting to happen. That's my opinion.
I mean,
Sorry, I'm not trying to offend anyone.
no, it's just like your wife is your best friend. If you can't tell your best friend what you're going through, then that shows either you don't respect her as your best friend, or yeah, but it shows you don't respect her as your best friend. It even gets to the point if somebody talks to me or texts me a lot, I tell my wife, hey, so this person's texting me a lot, because you don't want things to be a secret, and then you got to fight all of that in the beginning, and then it's troublesome, and then there's envy and jealousy already from the start. You will always have a better chance finding someone that your wife like if you push it, and your wife will end up being involved in that, And if they aren't, like my wife said earlier, you need to create that environment and have them call people that are dealing with a polygamous relationship, because sometimes women reject polygyny because they don't see it. And when they do see it, they see a bad example. So you have to create an environment that's conducive for the growth of polygynous relationships. Mm-hmm. So you will have to have a person that's involved in polygyny. Your wife will have to see it, because nobody wants to be an outcast. First of all, we take on the title of Hebrew Israelites. Most of our families disown us when we take this title. We're outcasted by society. Now we want to take it another step and say, well, not only are we Hebrews, but we're polygynous, or we're in a polygamous relationship. And that's another thing that your wife has to deal with from the outside world. So a lot of times, we are people that deal with the power of empathy. We have empathetic neurons that trigger when we want to fit into society. And that's why a lot of us, we evolve into what our habitat or our environment wants us to be. So we have to create an environment that's conducive for polygamy. And if you want polygyny and polygyny is hard for you to get, I would suggest that maybe even reach out to me or my wife, and we'll help walk y'all through it or talk it and make it feel comfortable for your wife.
And I would say, don't think that because it's a custom that you have to do it, because polygyny is not for everyone. It's just not. You have to be strong above all levels to be in a polygynous relationship. It's definitely not for the weak, and it's not for everyone.
No, it definitely isn't. It isn't, and it's a hard thing to do as a man. And some of us like to be left alone, and we don't want to be bothered. But we have a lot of catering we need to do to our women's emotional needs. Like even when this camera go off, I gotta love my wives, man, and spend time with them, and I have to make that mandatory, and you have to do it twice as much. And can you handle that as a man? You have to ask yourself an honest question. Are you willing to be up in sometimes the emotional ups and downs and talking to your woman and getting her through the struggles, or is she helping you get through the struggles that you have? I mean, there's a lot to it. So there's a lot to consider as a brother, as a man. And don't think you're cool because you're getting polygyny. What makes you respectable is if your polygyny is working. Answer this phone.
Whenever y'all are ready, I have a few questions.
All right, okay, hold on one second. We have a question?
Go ahead if you
All right,
got
hold on
it
one
on
second.
the phone, and then I have a few.
All right, Kaza L, speak up, man. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, cousin out of Houston, Texas.
Shalom.
I have a question regarding polygamy.
Okay. Go ahead.
Let me know when you're ready for the question.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
All right. Okay. My thing is, I mean, we know that it's beneficial for the nation, but how do we convince our sisters that that it's beneficial for them and show them how they will benefit from it? Because the women I've dealt with, even Hebrew women, they are against it. They don't want to share it. I don't want to share you. So how do we reach them and show them how beneficial it is for our nation? What's the key to that? Because I haven't found one that was okay with it.
Nah, good question.
Good question. We had discussed somewhat of part of it is letting these women, if you're very interested in a woman, let her meet someone who has a positive polygynous relationship. Let them speak to someone. Let them see the benefits. I mean, like we have together 14 children. We don't have to worry about finding babysitters 90% of the time, 99% of the time. We have, our children are linked together. They do things together. They don't need an outside source because they have enough siblings. The list goes on and on about how we can help each other. I think that a lot of times what women are scared of is something that they're probably already dealing with. Most women are dealing with a man who some form or some way is already having another woman. When they say they don't want to share, it might be something deeper why they don't want to share. I think that just basically letting them see that there are positive polygynous relationships will somewhat encourage them to know that it's okay to do it.
And I want to piggyback off of that. I would like to say that don't force it. Don't force it. Don't keep bringing it to her. Oh, I want to have another wife. Oh, I want to have another wife. Can I get another wife? Because you want it to come natural. Because if it's forced, it won't be right. You want it to come natural. You don't want to keep forcing this on a woman. If she doesn't want it, she doesn't want it. You can't force her. You can't beat it in her head. Like my sister wife and my husband said before, let it come natural. Let them come around positive people, positive polygynous relationship, and working relationships. Definitely, you don't want to force it because she's gonna be adamant about it 10 times more.
And then you have to be real with yourself. A lot of us brothers, we get into a polygynous relationship, or we get into a relationship with an individual who we know is not down for polygyny, and then later on we try to force it upon them, like my wife said. So we have to be truthful. If we know we're polygynous, then don't get with people that are not polygynous minded. So these are some of the things that we have to be real. And there's a people think that it's rare for women to be involved or want polygyny. That's kind of like the world is changing now. Even if you listen to a lot of black radio shows today, polygyny is a hot topic, and a lot of women afford that. A lot of women been hurt. A lot of women been destroyed. Only thing a woman wants now sometimes is just a man to be truthful, and being truthful sometimes is a turn on to a lot of women that are either that they haven't been hurt, and some women that have been hurt, because all they want is a man that's man enough to say the truth to them and tell them what the reality is. And then they see that you're taking care of your household or you're doing something great, and then it becomes you're a walking resume, and they'll fall in love with you about something like that. So the world is leaning towards polygyny. It's leaning towards polygyny, and we have to understand that. So now it's just you have to change your circle. You have to figure out what circle I'm going to be involved in, or who I'm going to talk to, or who I'm going to build with, because there's a lot of people that's 100% down for that.
Man, well, where they at? Show me. I ain't found them.
I got you, brother. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk. We're going to build. There's a lot of people that's involved, and they're coming. It's that time where women just have to wake up and see the reality. Like in Georgia, it's 11 women to 1 man. Like if you go to your job, if a woman go to her job and five out of 10 people in her job talking about they go home to their husband or their boyfriend, somebody lying or somebody sharing. So sometimes it's the hard part is to face the reality and deal with the reality of what's really going on. And a lot of people rather be lied to than told the truth.
Right.
And that's dangerous. When you're comfortable with lies, and that's why we're in a situation in America right now, because we're comfortable with the lies, and the truth is hurt. The truth means that we got to break away. The truth means we got to give up our phones. We got to give up our expensive cars, our beautiful houses. That truth is kind of hard, and it hurts. And it's going to take some kind of struggle, and the women have to get over that. And sometimes you have to find out then what are some of the insecurities that's plaguing the woman and build her up so she won't have any more of these insecurities.
And you know what? It's funny you hit that topic, man.
Mm-hmm.
And because a lot of the women that I've been involved with, man, they get the lust and after. Even women in the truth, man, they get the lust and after the things in other society. They get to watching, shows like Living with Beyonce and watching House, what's that, Atlanta Housewives, and they want to be like these women lusting after these things, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like programming, man. You know what I'm saying? So how do you detach the woman from that, man?
Well,
do it.
Yeah, first we gotta start cutting them TVs off. And polygyny is for really spiritual minded people, and I thank the Creator, because I don't say polygyny works because of me. Polygyny works because of these two beautiful women over here and putting up with me, dealing with me, and above all things, I couldn't pray for a better scenario on what they put together. Sometimes we have disagreements on things or little things, you know what I mean? But for the most part, these women are the greatest two women on the planet to me, because they made my fantasy or a thought that I had in my reality. They brought it into reality for me, and they were dynamic. So the thing is just, bro, it's just finding people that and then everything is a draw too. It's how you present yourself. When I walk in the room, right, I look like a polygynist. I look like a polygynist. You know what I mean? It's the way it's my appearance, the way I set myself up. Imagine a brother coming to a sister and he got a baseball jersey on, some Timbos, some skinny jeans, and he talking about he a polygamist. It don't really go together. You know what I'm saying? That people are really not buying that package. It kind of throws them off. So it's a lot of stuff that we put out there, but we just gotta build.
Also, I think
one more question. Go ahead.
When dealing with a woman, should you give your first wife a certain amount of time before you take on another one?
Oh
Yes, of course.
Definitely. At least biblically, at least a year, right? But I even say more than that.
Yeah,
I say more than that, especially if she's your first wife. Give her at least 5 years. 5 years, if you can more. 5 years. 5 years is just you and her, and you building her, loving her, getting her ready.
Also, people feed off of a relationship. If they see that it's a positive, loving relationship, they're more likely to say, oh, I would not mind being with that man because I see how wonderful he treats his wife. Maybe he'll probably treat me just as good or even better. So if they feed off of what you're giving out. So.
Right. And this is a good brother, ladies. This is Brother Casa L, man. Follow him on Facebook. You know what I mean? Yeah, definitely. So it's a good brother. So we definitely gonna link, King. All right, shalom.
Shalom. Thank you.
Shalom.
All right, I have another question. Did you get any questions in?
I did.
All right, let's get one of your questions. What you got?
As a polygynist woman, what is the most challenging aspect of living in this way of life?
That's kind of like a question. That's something like this way of life, like, or polygyny.
Polygyny, meaning polygyny.
All right, go ahead.
Polygynist. I think it's just like any relationship, finding time to communicate, to rebuild, to build up, continue a relationship. With everybody having things going on, children, work, lives, it's finding that medium where you have that, you're actually building on your relationship. That to me is important.
And I also want to add to that, honest, being honest and open, and communication. Those are some very positive and important keys that we should keep in mind with being inside of a polygynous relationship. Because if you can't be honest, it's just not going to work. And communication is definitely the key to a successful relationship.
Yeah, okay, and that's it. It's like she said, maximizing our time and finding how we get to spend time with each other. I mean, initially we came in there, 14 kids, we cleaned up all day. You know, we found time, but now we starting to realize where to make time and where we can spend time with each other and do more stuff. So that's definitely it with me. You know, and she agrees. My baby agrees.
Okay, yes, they can't, Abba.
What's your name, Mama?
They can't, Abba.
What's your name, Mama? I
Have
got
another question.
I got to ask her because she's a twin because I don't know who she is right now. All right. That's Zanaya? That's Zanaya. I knew it. She talk a lot. Hey, boo. All right. We got a question.
Okay, it says, when all of you have a major decision, is one wife looked upon to make the decision, or is the decision agreed upon as a unit?
Well, the obvious
Depends.
answer,
It depends.
Yeah, because the obvious answer would say, yeah, we all do it, but that's not true. Sometimes we leave it into the hands of a person that makes the best decisions of that. Or sometimes we know if somebody's more emotionally attached to a situation, we allow them to make that decision, you know. Like, if I don't really care much about it, and me and Roey really don't care much about it, and the Tara is like head over heels about it, then we leave it to her to make that decision, you know. So sometimes we come together collectively and make decisions, and sometimes we don't have time to collectively make decisions. It's all based off a person's wisdom that they possess at that time.
Yeah, I agree with that answer. And if it's something that definitely is going to, like, I know it's a major, but depending on the severity of it and if it's going to affect us, then definitely it's something that we will all be agreed upon.
Okay. All right. I have a couple of questions. All right. This one is from Tina Red to Leo. All right. All right, I got one question from him. All right. What are the sleeping arrangements?
Okay. Well, we do have separate rooms. We have a king-size bed that we both, myself and my sister, we sleep in, and our husband sleeps in another room. I hope that answers your question.
Sometimes, most of the time I sleep with my babies, but sometimes I need my space. We have another question from an individual. And this is the one we get all the time. This is that question. That question. Well, everybody's sweating. They pull out that popcorn. All right. How does intimacy work? Are there designated days assigned to each wife so there's no one feeling left out?
Yeah. I would say we do. I mean, sex is not a taboo topic in our relationship. We do speak about it. We do have something between ourselves to say, okay, you're going to use your card tonight, or am I going to use my card tonight, or, we do talk about it. It's nothing to sneak off, or, she went to the store, so let me get my quickie in, or let her go inside the bathroom when she in the shower. No, we do discuss it because we're consenting adults. So we don't want it to seem as though one gets more than the other. So we discuss it, and not only that, we do have times where one of us is unclean, one is not unclean. That woman that's unclean sleeps in a totally different bed, and there's your time. There's your 7 days.
Also, we work different schedules. So I work in the evening. I'm working during the day. So with that set schedule, you have your set times where you have opportune times. But like Katara said, it's not like it's a secret. Like we're like, shh, I'm going to sleep. Let's go. we're not tiptoeing. We're grown, consenting adults, so we do have to communicate, and it's not a big issue.
Okay, good question. Good question. All right, we got some questions coming in. It's getting good now. It's getting spicy. That fire kicking up in the back. All right, another question. If a third or fourth wife came around, what would she need to bring to the table?
Y'all must not watch the first video.
We did say two.
Just kidding. I think that it would have to be, like I said in the first video, extraordinary